You're standing in a line of men. Spears forward, shields locked. The man next to you is your neighbor. The man behind you is your brother. And somewhere down that line, you know exactly what's more terrifying than the enemy in front of you. It's the thought of turning around and running. Because in your world, dying in that line makes you a hero. Running from it makes you nothing. Worse than nothing. You'd be better off dead. This isn't a metaphor. For entire civilizations, cowardice wasn't just shameful. It was a fate worse than death itself. And once you understand why, you'll never look at courage the same way again. Start in Sparta. A Spartan mother didn't say good luck when her son left for battle. She said, with your shield or on it, come back carrying it or come back dead on top of it. Because dropping your shield to run faster meant you'd abandon the men beside you. And a Spartan who did that had a name for him, Tresses, the Trembler. He couldn't marry, he couldn't hold public office, he wasn't allowed to speak in assembly. He wore a cloak with patches sewn on to mark him publicly forever. Historian Paul Cartledge has documented how this shame was designed to outlast the man himself. Death ended in a moment. This didn't end at all. Here's the surprising part. This wasn't unique to Sparta. It shows up again and again in cultures that never even had contact with each other. In Aztec society, a warrior who fled combat could be stripped of his status permanently, forced to wear the huipil, a woman's garment, in public. In a warrior culture built entirely around military achievement, this wasn't just embarrassing, it erased your entire identity. You didn't just lose your rank, you lost your place in the world. In feudal Japan, Bushido gave samurai a clear alternative to the shame of defeat, seppuku, ritual suicide, and it wasn't punishment, it was considered the honorable choice. Death by your own hand, on your own terms, was preferable to living with cowardice. Historian Ivan Morris called this Japan's obsession with what he termed the nobility of failure, where dying well mattered more than surviving badly. So why does this pattern keep showing up? Why would the human mind rank social death above biological death? This is where evolutionary psychology comes in. For most of human history, we lived in small groups of maybe 50 to 150 people. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar's research on group size shows this wasn't optional. It was the entire structure of human survival. In a group that small, your reputation wasn't just your identity, it was your life support system. Get exiled and you don't get a fresh start somewhere else. You get eaten by something or you starve alone. Psychologist Kipling Williams spent decades studying what he calls social death, ostracism, and he found something remarkable. Brain scans show that social rejection activates the same regions as physical pain. Your brain doesn't fully distinguish between a wound and being cast out. Being branded a coward wasn't just embarrassing. To an ancient nervous system, it registered as an existential threat, on par with a blade to the throat. Which means these cultures weren't being cruel for no reason. They were exploiting something already wired into us, making the social punishment so severe that it competed directly with the fear of death, and in some cases, won. But here's where it gets darker. This logic didn't stay in the ancient world. In World War I, over 300 British soldiers were executed by their own army for cowardice or desertion. Many of them, historians now believe, weren't cowards at all. They were suffering from shell shock, what we'd now recognize as severe trauma. The military didn't have language for that yet. It only had one label for a man who couldn't make himself go back over the top: coward. And the sentence was death, delivered by his own side. Think about what that means. An entire institution decided that killing a traumatized soldier was more acceptable than admitting fear could break a man who wasn't weak, just human. It took until 2006 for the British government to formally pardon those men. So what does all this tell us? Maybe courage was never really about fearlessness. Maybe it was always a transaction, a trade between the individual and the group. Stay in the line and the group protects you, remembers you, honors you. Break from it and you become nothing, whether or not your body survives. And maybe that's the uncomfortable truth sitting underneath all of it. We like to think courage comes from inside a person, but for most of human history, courage was something a community built into you, using the one thing more powerful than the fear of dying, the fear of being forgotten, erased, and cast out while you're still alive to feel it happen.